Some politicians like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has called on the government to consider restructuring the country in order to ease groups that are aggrieved. As if taking a cue from that, in Lagos State, a group comprising of lawyers and different civil society groups marched to various international embassies in the city last week to submit documents demanding the government restructures the country. They say the restructuring of the country is the only way to address all the problems confronting Nigeria. They asked the foreign government to mount pressure on President Buhari to implement the report of the last national conference organized under former President Goodluck Jonathan. However, speaking on our flagship current affairs program, Digi 360, a former delegate to the national conference and leader of the group NADECO, both said that even if the president chooses not to act, the National Assembly could take up the report and work on it.
What I do know, speaking sincerely as a lawyer, is that the National Assembly needs to go through that. And then it has to be submitted. Actually, it was submitted by President Jonathan, till end of his administration. The executive accepted it, worked on it, made some suggestions, and accepted it. It is now left for the National Assembly. It is there. But one day, believe me, one day, if this administration does not work on it, an administration can come in and work in it.
And I have to quickly ask you, if it's before the National Assembly, let's face it, whether the president likes it or not, whether he does anything or not, if the National Assembly is actually serious about it, then he can actually start work on it.
Yes, they can work on it. And we took pains to make suggestions. In other words, you can put the president in a position where he has no say. Let me put it this way. Creation of states, we know the procedure. Introduce it. It doesn't have to be Mr. Speaker or Mr. President of the Senate. No. It can start as a private member's bill.
And we're not seeing that happen. That is the problem.
Well, how do I put it now? If wishes were horses, beggars will ride. Remember that most of those legislators had their own ideas. And believe me, they have not really worked as hard as we expected them. I know there has been a lot of distractions from different quarters, yes. But it does not stop a hard-working legislator. They have assistants. Tell one of them to Google the internet. If they cannot Google, they can ask someone for somewhere there, take their own copies, make their own copies, remove national conference, and put their names there.
How do you expect the country to go forward from here? Do you expect to see the National Assembly begin the process? Because it appears so much is being said about the president. People are not talking about the National Assembly.
That is a very wrong institution to talk about. Fortunately, they are in existence of that with the powers of Decree 24 that brought them into it. Nigerians have not really sat down to produce a ground a law, a body of law fashioned out by us independently and legitimately too. How can anybody want to retain the current National Assembly with the gargantuan sum that is expended on them for little contribution that they are making? This country cannot sustain that kind of National Assembly. They are having perhaps the highest pay in the world in an economy that is underdeveloping.